Persona 4 has the best characters because unlike Seas and the Phantom Thieves, the investigation team actually feel like friends. Eat my
Wait, sorry.
I feel like a big factor as to why people fixate so much on the end of the game is Aigis. Don't get me wrong, she's not a terrible character by any means. Her character arc is just very
He's gonna ruin it. He's gonna ruin it for me. Like, Aigis is probably my favorite. From what I understand, the video is about how most people say Persona 3 have the best story and Persona 4 have the best character and Persona 5 have the best gameplay. It's true that I think this is the most common take, but I don't know what the video is gonna be about. Is it gonna be him saying that like these take are stupid? I would assume that if it's a common concept, a common take, it would mean that a lot of people are having the same experiences with this game rather than that it's invalid. Although I guess there could be an argument to make that like when something became popular enough, people just stop thinking and they're just gonna just say repeating. Maybe that's an argument to be made.
I just deleted Twitter last night. So I guess you're just gonna have to follow me on Blue Sky instead if you want to keep up with my updates and other shenanigans. Yeah. You guys have all seen this take before. If you've played all 3 of these games, then you've definitely seen this take before. Everyone has. It's been repeated so many times on the internet.
Best story, best character, best gameplay. Just real quick, for me, I think Persona 3 have the worst story. People are gonna hate me for that. Oh, why? Thanks for asking. I actually appreciate that. I mean, you could just go straight to dislike the video, you know? You didn't have to ask me why, but thanks for asking. I think Persona 3 have the best theme. The best theme of all Persona. I think it have the best theme. But in terms of story beats, I feel like it's the first of the modern series, and there is still a lot to learn. I think the idea of facing death, and actually, learning how to live your life, and yeah, how do you face something that you cannot get away? Like eventually, everybody gonna die, right? It's such a good freaking concept. But when I talk about the story, I mean like how it was constructed and how the pacing is. So for example, what I think Persona 3 is like quite weak in is incorporating the bosses into the arc character. Let me explain. So what I mean is in Persona 4, when she have to face herself, or when everybody, they have to face themselves, right? So the bosses actually reflect of their arc, right? So in Persona 5, you have a pretty good setup of like Ryoji An with Kamoshida. That's pretty good setup. So they build it pretty well, and then you're like, oh, that guy, I wanna go destroy Kamoshida or something. But Persona 4, it doesn't. Persona 3, it doesn't really have that. It's just like a random shadow. That's one thing, but there's also other thing. Like for you to care about the payoff, the middle and the beginning have to be very interesting. I think Persona 3 have good beginning for nearly all the arc. Like, oh, Fuga is disappearing and she get bullied. Okay, that's her beginning of her arc, right? Okay, that's interesting. And then the middle is sort of don't really exist, I guess. And then you just show up where, okay, what is her name? The Fuga friends. I forgot her name, but I think you know who I'm talking about. Yeah, like she don't really interact with Fuga that much. We don't really see it that much. Like, hey, I trapped this girl in like a locker room. Natsuki, yeah. It's like, yeah, I trapped this girl in a locker room. But yeah, like all that stuff, like I feel like it would have been better if the middle was built more. But yeah, like Persona 4 and Persona 5 are much better than that. The setup of Persona 4 about like you have limited amount of time, and then you see like people in the TV. Those stuff are really very interesting and very well set up. But just because I'm saying the story is not that good doesn't mean that it's I hate it, because I don't. I think it's the have the most interesting theme. Yeah, the facing death theme, because it's not just about facing death. Like facing death is just the surface. The surface level is facing death, but like the overall narrative is about facing the end. And then in your life, sometimes your end is not the end. There's multiple end, right? Persona 3 covered that as well. There's character like Bebe, where like he have to go home and he doesn't want to go home, right? That's his social link. And then there's like the song, I think he sang like New Space Made When Things Fall Apart or something like that. Yeah, like New Space Made When Things Fall Apart. It's just like the theme, like shit have to get fucked for new things to come in. That's actually the over theme. It's not just like facing the end, but there's more than that. There's a lot to explore. And yeah, Akinari is one of my favorite social link and is in Persona 3. So despite how I don't think the story structure was well paced or written, overall, in terms of theme, the best for me.
Take before. If you've played all 3 of these games, then you've definitely seen this take before. Everyone has. It's been repeated so many times on the internet that people are outright sick of hearing it. But I don't think it's
Are they? I know people were right sick of. But yeah.
Purely just
I don't.
because of
It
repetition.
doesn't bother me.
Or how everyone completely leaves Persona 1 and 2 out of this meme. I think the
That's a good thing. That's a good thing. The reason that people leave the Persona 2 and 1 of this meme is not because they think it's like not included, it's because they don't play it. I feel like it would be more stupid if they don't play it and then they're like, oh yeah, this one have like the best, I don't know, mechanic or something, but that's stupid. You don't play it, and how would you rank them? Like, the reason that they don't rank them is because they never play it. So to me, that's actually a good thing. They don't rank them. What's your favorite story then? In Persona? In 3, 4, 5? Is that what you're asking? In 3, 4, 5? My favorite story is probably 4. I think 4 is the best setup, like the best story. But interestingly, if I wanted to play something, I would wanted to play 5 or 3, despite how I think 4 have the best story. I think 4 have the best story because it have an interesting mystery to it, which makes you wanted to see more. So like the big plot is interesting, and there's a sense of urgency, where Persona 5, it doesn't really have sense of urgency. Well, the subplot have the sense of urgency, as in like, oh, you need to do something before Kamoshida do something, because something bad gonna happen if you don't, or you get kicked out of school. And then when every arc, something urgent happen. But the big story, it doesn't happen until later on. It's gonna come out of nowhere, right? That's happened a lot with a Persona game, like Persona 3 as well. Like, you don't know what the Tartarus is, or it just suddenly, like, you just know like, oh, there's gonna be something that come to the world that if you don't stop it, everybody dies. Or sorry, not everybody died, everybody became zombie. For Persona 5, just suddenly, oh, you go down the mementos after you defeat everybody, you're like, oh, okay, so now there's like this thing that trying to, I guess, trap everybody and then control them, or whatever like that, but it's trying to convince you that everybody is wanted to be controlled, right? Persona 4 is like this TV that show up, that the shadow that show up at midnight, where people get disappearing. It just feel interesting right away to me.
I think the reasons for this actually lie more within the overall discussion around these games, rather than the opinion itself. If I'm to be
Sorry, I want to listen to that again.
1 and 2 out of this meme, I think the reasons for this actually lie more within the overall discussion around these games, rather than the opinion itself.
I'm not quite sure what that means.
If I'm to be honest, I feel like people's actual attitudes towards these games might even kind of contradict the stated sentiments. I think the easiest way for me to explain is to tackle each of these 3 statements individually. People say Persona 3 has the best story. I feel like I have to ask them why as a litmus test. Don't get me wrong, I don't disagree with this sentiment. Persona 3 does have my favorite story out of the Persona games. This includes 1 and 2. Something I've noticed is that the way the general fandom talks about Persona 3's story is
Persona 3, this part of the game, this starting part, is pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. I would tell you that for sure. This of all the start, Persona 3 have pretty good start. Like this walking into like everything is green, and then walking into like this dom, and then there's like this ghost kid. Of all the 3, I actually do think this is the most interesting for that regard.
Something I've noticed is that the way the general fandom talks about Persona 3's story is totally different from how I talk about the story.
Well, the thing is, nobody gonna talk about the story like. Sorry, I'm exaggerating, but average people are average people, you know. And then there's nothing wrong with that. Like, not everybody gonna talk in like a super. Actually, I need to watch this When Persona Change video to know, but I'm assuming that like it's more deep in some sort of way. But I think for average people, they don't. There's like this thing when it's come to when people to express their opinion or like share something to other people. There's like this 3 thing called like what's it, Lagos, Ignos, and Pathos. Lagos, Pathos, Ignos. Ectos. Generally it's logic. Pathos is like emotion, which is pity, I guess, and then ethos are like ethic, right? I think for majority of people, they'll just talk about pathos, which is how they feel about stuff. They wouldn't go into like lagos and ectos, like those were too deep, right? Unless you're crazy. And there is some crazy people. Some people are more crazy than others, but most people, they'll just like, oh, I remember. When you remember something, it's actually, believe it or not, is more about feeling than the actual recall of the actual event. So yeah.
From how I talk about the story. When you ask most people why they think Persona 3 has the best story, they kinda just reiterate all the major plot points in the second half of the game. They don't really explain why. They don't even really seem to know why, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, like what I'm saying, because people don't go into the lagos or the ectos, they just go into bathos. They just remember or just feel a certain way about it.
Now, you could make a similar example out of the other Persona games too, but as someone who loves Persona 3, I am actually quite dissatisfied with how surface level the discussion tends to be. No.
That's why there's people like you, right, that everybody attached to. That's pretty cool though, right? If everybody's like a crazy, like, deep machine, then the content that I think like the deep analysis are pretty much not interesting because everybody do it. I think it's cool that most people were average, and then there's interesting people like, actually I didn't watch too much Bubble Tea, but I'm just gonna fucking grace him for no reason, okay? Like, if I was wrong, I'm sorry, but I'm just gonna grace him for no reason just for now. There's people like him that, you know, talk more deeply and people are attached to it. I think that's actually a pretty cool thing. Now, I wanted to learn more about the triangle thing. It seemed interesting. Oh yeah, it's not just it's a way for people to communicate and convince people to. Like I said, it's something that I learned. Emotion is the most strongest thing, which is again pathos. Like sorry, are you ready to get angry? I'm just gonna use the kind of extreme example. It's not that extreme, unless it's really mean a lot to you. But you know, it's just really hard to, when it's come to, for example, the abortion thing. The argument is always like, at what age, right? At what age is a baby a person, or like is it conscious, right? That is logos, or is logic. You're talking about logic, but it's so much easier to just tell people that like, bro, that's a human life no matter what. That's a baby you're killing, right? Like, that is not logical. That's appealing to like emotion, right? It's just listen to me. Like, I'm not even good at it. Just me saying that, it's just so much stronger than like, hey, you know, it's like at 2 months old, there's like a cell started to multiply into like 2 pieces, and it doesn't have like brain function yet. Like, it doesn't sound people don't really gravitate toward that compared to emotional statement.
No one really seems to discuss how the story is told well. Something that I kind of regret not doing in my retrospective is demonstrating the excellent use of Greek imagery and the parallels.
Oh yeah, fuck. If you talk about subtext, like subtext in Persona is one of the most interesting thing. There's a lot of parallel, like I said, like parallel to like the Greek story, and even like the floor of the Tartarus or stuff like that. Like even like this little circle thing. I don't. I'm just making shit up, okay? But like if I look deep enough, there might be something about this circle thing. But if I understand it correctly, I think some of the certain flaw of the Tartarus are the same flaw at the school as well. But it's there for a reason. There's a lot of subtext, like sub story, sub meaning. But the thing is that, like I said, what people misunderstand is that like just because a story has so much freaking subtext or symbolism, that doesn't make it a good story. That just make it deep. But then if you ask yourself, right, like why do people care about how deep a hole is? Fuck, sorry, I couldn't think of it's so cringe. But like, why would you care about how deep the hole is if the rabbit is not cute? What I mean is that like if you don't see a cute rabbit running into a hole, right, you will not go down the rabbit hole. Sorry, it's cringe. I'm sorry, it's cringe. It's cringe. But my point is, usually for average people, the surface level will have to be interesting. If they love the surface, right, they will dig deep. Like they'll go down the rabbit hole. Like, oh shit, there's more about this, right? They're not just gonna be like suddenly like look at the floor of like Tartarus and be like, okay, so it's like a circle, and this circle is just the same number as like the tarot card. Like, no.
Probably Greek tragedy storytelling techniques. Right. I explained what Tartarus is in Greek mythology, and that's it. Thankfully, there are other videos that go into pretty deep detail about it.
This is a Lady Vigilia video. Lady Vigilia is one of the few Persona creator that I respect in terms of research.
About it. Everything from Persona mythology in relation to the characters using said persona, to even the way the characters are written like tragic heroes with fatal flaws. Oh, and if you even try to explain how the game uses the mechanics as a tool for the narrative, you'll be called delusional and written off as someone who just likes bad gameplay.
No, it's not, but I'm sure here's the thing, right? Like, it depends who you're talking to. If you're talking into like those, I don't know, maybe the Reddit persona, I'm not sure, but if you talk to me, I actually know exactly what he meant. Like, one thing that he mean for sure is that like the biggest theme of Persona is time waits for no one, right? Time waits for no one, right? So you have a lot of shit where like if you stay in the room stay in the floor for too long, right? Fucking Reapers come out of nowhere and try to kill you. You're dead. And another one is that like another theme that Persona is trying to portray is that like spend your time wisely, right? It's in this song in the reload version. It's so weird, but then like I didn't feel emotion at all the entire game. It was good, but like the only time that I actually tear up is when I listen to this fucking song and I actually read the lyric, because it actually did convey the theme pretty well. The stop living dead when your heart's still beating still, like it's just pretty good, because just like, you know, if you're alive but you're not doing anything, then it's nearly like you're dead kind of thing. But anyway, they have a theme where like spending time wisely, and then you have the time slot, right? The time slot where like, oh, you're gonna hang out with this person today, or you're gonna go kill some shadow today, right? And then if you don't do that right, then you don't get to unlock every social link. So it actually did follow, they actually use mechanic. This is a real thing. I think it's actually in the interview of the director, right? But here's the thing though, like I actually agree with him entirely that actually a real thing. The thing is that like just because they wanted to have a meaningful theme as a mechanic doesn't mean it's a good mechanic. It just means there's a good link between them. But sometimes when you have a very cool idea, it doesn't really work out when you really make it. I think that's more of what people said. Actually, I'm sure that's not what people said. I'm giving a really nice Steelman version, but probably people are just don't want to listen to him being crazy. But like I said, dude, I appreciate crazy people like him, like people that overanalyze. They're cool. I like them.
God forbid you even insinuate the way the gameplay elements work off each other is cleverly designed. Yeah, any sort of ludonarrative discussion about these games basically died when Persona 3 Reload came out. Despite how loved Persona 3's story is, people really like to oversimplify it. I think people are more attached to the condensed version of the story from the movies than the story in its entirety.
I never watch it. Is the movie good? I never watched the movie, but I heard there is some story that being told better. Like, I heard that Ike's story is being told better. I'm not 100% sure on that. I have to watch it.
Act like nothing happens in the first half of the game. I feel like the version of the story from the movies than the story in its entirety. They act like nothing happens in the first half of the game. I feel like everyone seems to forget that Persona 3 is not just a story about the mystery of Tartarus and saving the world. It's the least about that, in my opinion, so I actually agree with him on that. Like he said in the beginning, where that part of the story just come up at the second half of the game, and it's pretty much what I told you, right? That's why I said I don't think it's the best story. I didn't say it's a bad story. Well, I did say I used the word weak, so okay, maybe. But it wasn't bad anyway, just kind of weak, I guess, but at least in my taste. Also largely a story about the personal journeys of the characters, and how the phenomenon of the Dark Hour acts as the catalyst for their growth. It honestly boggles my mind how much people will look at the character interactions happening on screen that are well spread throughout the game for the most part, then treat it like it's nothing, or that it's
treating it like nothing is definitely 100% unfair. However, this is what I talk about as well. When there's no beautiful rabbit, people don't go down a hole. A lot of this story it's really subtext, and it's not easy to understand. The easier one to understand might be like the Junpei and Chidori one. That's really easy to understand. Like a lot of people take a long time for people to appreciate Yukari. Like I don't know if you guys remember in the beginning, people hated Yukari. She was bitchy. It take them like how many generations to start to be like, oh, it actually makes sense why she's such a bitch.
lesser than the big truth bomb dropped near the end of the game. I feel like a big factor as to why people fixate so much on the end of the game is Aigis. Don't get me wrong, she's not a terrible character by any means. Her character arc is just very
Fuck, he's gonna ruin it. He's gonna ruin it for me. Like Aigis is probably my favorite, second favorite social link maybe. So he's gonna say it's shit. He's gonna say it's shit.
As to why people fixate so much on the end of the game is Aigis. Don't get me wrong, she's not a terrible character by any means. Her character arc is just very backloaded, with most of
Fuck you, Bubble Tea! I'm just kidding. Let's hear him out.
it happening at the very end of the game, including her social link.
That's true, I guess. As in, like, it's like pretty condensed, but at the same time, that's what makes it easier to follow. But no, it's true. Just because condensing me is bad, though. Yeah.
Aigis is a very straightforward, easy to understand, walking, talking embodiment of the game's themes in their most basic sense.
Oh, I totally agree with that. Yeah, that's why. See, oh no, it's crazy. I think like the way that he see it is different than me. But we actually have this really similar information, but his conclusion is different than me. Because to me, those characters are perfect. Like those kind of characters are perfect. The one that's like really easy to understand on the surface, but then you can dig so deep in. I think those were the perfect character. Like I think the character that like seem like not interesting, but dig deep in and that's actually really good. I think those are, I wouldn't say bad, but I would prefer easier to understand surface than a lot of interesting stuff after you go into the rabbit hole.
And yet not nearly as much attention goes to how the other characters demonstrate those.
Oh shit, why he show Ken here? Yo, I'm gonna message Bubble Tea, okay? One time, Bubble Tea, leave a comment on my channel. I'm gonna reply to that comment finally and be like, yo bro, You want to talk about Ken? I saw you have this Ken clip. No joke, Ken's actually have a very interesting backstory. But it's very hard for a creator to talk about Ken because it's gonna be very easily derailed by people to be like, oh, you know, kids, little kids. And then it's like, oh, she's a little kid, and the other one just like, oh, if you play the FMC role and then you date this little kid, is bad. Yeah, it's hard to actually have a real meaningful discussion when everybody just gonna derail conversation because those other stuff is so it get people emotional and they just concentrate about that.
To how their most basic sense. And yet not nearly as much attention goes to how the other characters demonstrate those themes in a more practical way. Everyone else in this game is out here learning how they want to live, but Aigis is only just learning what living even means. They're both important, but people put way more emphasis on the simplified form of the game's message, with very little regard to any of the nuance that comes with that message.
Yeah, but they put it in because they understand that. If they don't understand something, how would they be able to reach the conclusion the same way as you? That's the thing. Like if you have like if you show me like two math problem, one of them is 1 + 1 = 2, I'd be like, that makes sense to me. And the other one is just like, I don't know, like sine, cos, tan, triangle, XYZ = 2. Like I don't know how it become 2. I don't know how it become 2. Okay, like it's confused me. Like I need people like you to explain to me how it become 2.
Sometimes I think to myself, would anyone actually understand or appreciate Persona 3 nearly as much if Aigis wasn't in the game?
I don't know. What do you guys think? I feel like they would still do, but how would I know?
Then a few seconds later, I'll decide, nah, I don't want to think about that.
Yeah, he saw it again. My reaction exactly. He's just like, I don't know, maybe not.
Damn, you mean to tell me the characters are the most important thing driving the story? Speaking of which...
It is. It is. What a cute little transition there. It's just like, oh, character, and then it's just like best character, Persona 4. I need to learn the way that this master make his video.
Guys, Persona 4 has the best characters because unlike C's and the Phantom Thieves, the investigation team actually feel like friends. Eat my...
Wait, sorry.
The investigation team actually feel like friends. Eat my fucking shit, bro.
Whoa!
Joke! That was a joke!
It is honestly insane to me.
No, don't joke. What the fuck? Don't take that back, dude. Yo, we all know you're not joking. I know you're not joking.
How people will say Persona 4 best characters when so much of this fandom can't even agree on what they even represent. Man, for a game...
That's normal, right? Because again, the game has so much subtext. It's not easy to read the subtext.
Game that's touted for its characters, people sure want to change them. You know, the game where all the characters decide for themselves who they want to be instead of having...
Is it the same person? I feel like here's the problem. When you talk to a mass like this, like it's so hard to actually make sense of anything. Like who is he talking to when he said like, oh, for a game that people said the character is the best, it's kind of funny that everybody wanted to change them. Is it the same person? Like if it's the person that said like it have the best character, it's the same person as the people who want to change them. If it is, again, it's kind of hypocritical, but it's kind of hard to know if it's the same person or not.
Everyone else decide that for them. While I do think there is something to be said about the negative trans stereotypes in the...
What is that here? Treating a transition like exaggerated horror sci-fi body alteration, some lie come off like they're trying to persuade Naoto out of her face. Man, I feel like it would be nice if we explained this part more. But I guess this video is gonna more just like he's just gonna talking, because he doesn't really explain them. He's just gonna like talk about them really fast. Are you only watching SA? Just curious. I watch anything, dude. I will watch you. Sorry, that's pretty weird. Yeah. What else you wanted to watch, my friends?
This game, I don't think it invalidates the message they were trying to get across with Naoto about infantilization, misogyny, and just being allowed to be a girl who likes action figures. Kanji is one that I feel more passionately about.
I didn't even know she liked action figure. My Persona 4 game is so weak. I need to replay this game.
Because I actually relate to him personally. That I feel.
Oh, you relate to
just
Kanji?
being allowed to be a girl who likes action figures. Kanji is one that I feel more passionately about because I actually relate to him personally. You know that one kid in your class who looks at any kind of eccentric person and just can't help themselves? They cannot help but ask you, not the person themselves, "Hey, is that kid gay?"
What the fuck? Kanji chic, yeah. Am I wrong about this? Am I wrong about this? Because again, my Persona 4 game is pretty weak, but from what I understand, Kanji is not officially gay, right? Like he might be or he might not be, but it's actually not that clear. He just like cute stuff, right? Like he like cute stuff and he like some feminine activity. That's what I understand. I need to replay Persona 4. I actually only beat Persona 4 normal one. I never beat 4 Golden. I need to replay this game, but that is what I understand.
I went to Catholic school growing up, so that was every kid. Bro, if you even...
Catholic school. Is everyone in Catholic school wondering if everybody's gay? Is that what it is? Wow.
Did so much as cross your legs while sitting, you'd be told by everyone to stop sitting like a girl. Man, fuck off. Maybe I'm just a straight guy who wants to watch Sailor Moon while crossing his legs eating...
Okay, I think Bubble Teas agree with me, at least from what he said. I guess yeah, I think he's trying to say that Kanji just like cute shit. Which just like him, like he just want to watch some girl show or something like that sometime about being gay.
Christmas tin cookies. I don't think Kanji being bisexual is off the table, but I feel like if the only thing you took away from his character arc is he's gay, you're kind of perpetuating the same stereotypes and standards of masculinity people kept pushing.
Yeah, from what I understand, yeah, I didn't pre-watch this, just letting you know, I just talk about shit, but like, yeah, from what I understand, yeah, I didn't think it was clear that he was gay. He just like cute stuff. He might be gay, I don't know, but it wasn't clear, at least when I was playing it.
On him. You know, the people who caused his trauma to begin with. Then
whoa, how did he do that from just one motion?
you've got
That's so
Yosuke,
cool.
who I'm pretty sure 99% of people want to be gay.
Why? Why? Why specifically him?
And honestly,
is he a bro?
I'm not really opposed to it either. I think that would actually fit his character. Okay, that's nice and all, but does Persona 4 have the best characters, is what you're probably...
Persona 4 have a best character because 2 of them is gay. Sorry, maybe more. I'm just kidding. Probably that's not what it
probably
is.
asking right now. If you want my opinion, Persona 4 has a really underrated cast of side characters.
Is this true? Probably, actually, yeah. It's really hard for me to remember the social link of Persona 4, but me personally, I barely play Persona 4. But I remember this iGirl story is interesting. I don't remember exactly what it is, but I remember feeling that it was interesting. I think this Tower kid is like something about his study. Damn, I really need to replay this game.
I can genuinely relate to some of these characters. And I can honestly say I might even like some of these guys more than the main cast, who were pretty hit or
Like whom?
miss for me. It's honestly still funny to me how the 3 brain cells of the group cracked the case as soon as they stepped out of the room. What, you mean
Oh, you're trying to say that like there was no build up, they just like walk out of the room and then they just like figure it out. Yeah, I guess this part is true, wasn't it?
brain cells of the group cracked the case as soon
Hey, the game's gonna be over. They gotta.
as they stepped out of the room.
We
What,
gotta
you mean
go.
to tell me the peanut gallery was what held them back the whole time? I kinda went into this in my Persona 4 retrospective, but I think it's kinda telling how the most loved Persona cast also happens to be the one consisting of yes men. These guys almost never question you and just kinda follow you around all the time. I don't even think these guys even get upset at you if you're a dick to them in their social links, save for Naoto. The only time they ever argue with you is near the end of the game over whether to kill a man or not.
Wait, is that true? Well, I mean, if you answer the wrong question, you're not gonna get progress, right? But I guess like they don't have like an emotional like rage that you did not agree with them or something. It's sad to think that he's still there guarding the gate all the way until 5. Make me wonder if Elizabeth failed. Oh, Makoto? Okay. I don't think they get to that story yet, to be fair.
Bro, this happens as early as the first arc of Persona 5. Meanwhile, you have the side characters like Aya Bihara, whose link can be reversed, or characters like Shu Nakajima or Naoki Konishi being cold to you at first, before opening up about their traumas. These characters have very down-to-earth and believable stories. While some of them can be doormats in their own right,
Here's the problem with being like down to earth. I don't have a problem with this, by the way. I actually do indeed think it's cool. But when you make something too down to earth, a lot of in real life stuff are actually really settled too. Like, do you know who's the most depressed person? It might not be as obvious. Could just be like a normal kid that every time you ask how are you, they said fine. Yeah, those might be depressed. Like when you make stuff like super settled, like really relatable, realistic, it doesn't communicate well in terms of story sometimes. Especially, I think for Western audience, they just like their story much more clearer compared to the Eastern. Now, I don't have the real number or anything from this, so this is just my feeling. Just seeing like how different movie and media portraying stuff. Like in Japan, there's a lot of movie where the story is being told in a really subtle way or a really open-ended way, and then people would not understand it unless you look really deep. But then for like Hollywood film, usually the plot is really clear, the character motive and stuff is really clear. Yeah.
it's in their own right. At least they're not constantly stuck to you like magnets. The side characters of Persona 4 are
No, the thing is, not everybody's stuck to you like magnet. The reason that it seems like everybody's stuck to you like magnet in the Persona game is because the camera is stuck to you like magnet. I really wish that they have more cutscene with other character talking to each other without the main character more. I really do wish that in all the Persona game.
are very often overlooked by the broader fandom. Bro, you cannot tell me Persona 4 has the best characters while ignoring the vast majority of them. These guys take up like half the game. Wait,
I mean, if they do the same thing to every single one of them, I guess they could. I guess it's even ground. Like if they just look at half the character in Persona 3, 4, and 5, all of them, I guess that's the same scoring system.
but what about the other half?
The gameplay, yeah! Oh, I knew it! I can send that coming a mile away. That transition segment, I can feel it. I can feel his editing in my vein. I'm so sorry.
Saying Persona 5 has good gameplay is not an obscene statement to make.
Because it's fucking good!
Though I think a lot of us can agree that it's gotten to a point where people just kinda want everything to be like Persona 5.
Because it's good, I want everything to be good. Actually, I don't need everything to be like Persona 5, I just want everything to be good. So if it's not like Persona 5 but it's good, then that's cool.
How do you remake the Persona
Is the Persona 5 best gameplay?
games? Make them more like Persona 5. That's pretty much what most remake wish lists.
Yeah, we could, but you know, you're talking this pretty shallow as well. if you want to talk really deep, what does you mean by making like Persona 5, right? Like there's a certain part that I guess is like pretty good. The way that Persona series speed up turn-based in general is good, right? I think that should be in nearly every JRPG. I think every JRPG nowadays should have a way to speed up turn-based, because turn-based can get really stale, right? Like the one more system is pretty obvious, right? And good, and freaking good. Back in the day, the really early one, just I think Bravely Default have like stack up turn or something like that, and then like some other game have like speed up the turn based itself. That one is the most boring, but it does make it faster when you kill like a normal roadside mob.
Come down to in the grand scheme of things. We're apparently too creatively bankrupt to see beyond the scope of Persona 5's design. It's not so much that Persona 5 itself caused this, but rather people have caught themselves in this trap. It kind of feels like outside of story and themes, people view all the games in this series as a monolith. Like, I don't think I've...
Monolith? Sorry, what that mean? I mean, I heard of the word before. Is that just mean like mono? Single stone or rocks? Oh, so you use this as like a solid blueprint for everything, right? I'm learning English, okay? I'm learning English as well.
The games in this series as a monolith. Like, I don't think I've ever seen anyone suggest stuff like how to make the weather mechanic more interesting in a theoretical Persona 4 remake, just as an example. It's mostly...
I know, talk to someone... Oh, I guess he's not really talking to them. He was just kind of checking out like Reddit thread. I'm sure if you talk to people that, you know, like him, they're probably thinking about it.
Stuff like, make the dungeons like Persona 5 palaces. No one's really thinking about how to expand on the ideas unique to the game they want to be remade. Persona 5 isn't just the new standard, it's just straight up the way people want everything to be done. You wanna know what's even funnier? Saying Persona 5 has the best gameplay, but the one boss where the player needs to use the mechanics optimally?
I never had problem with this guy, but I was surprised when I read that people complain about this guy. I never had problem with this guy.
Is the most controversial one. So
it's so true. I will agree with him on this. Like this freaking thing, this freaking boss, it's not hard. It requires a little bit of brain, but in terms of a grand scheme of JRPG, if you're a JRPG player and you don't just play I don't know, like Final Fantasy or like the super main series, like you play every, well, not every, just kind of more branch out a little bit, like SMT or Breath of Fire or like the Tales games. This boss is in that grand scheme. This boss is not hard. Quite easy. Well, not the easiest, but easy. Like all you gotta do is think a little bit.
Persona 5 has the best gameplay, but you can't appreciate it when the game even slightly pushes the player anywhere adjacent to slightly more advanced.
No, I don't think that's a good. I don't think that's a good good comparison. I don't think it's fair to say that like when people say I think Persona 5 have the best gameplay, I don't think that's equivalent to like I love every single mechanic in Persona 5, and then you bring out one part that they don't like.
Okumura is pretty far into the game too. If you can't pull off a full baton pass chain with all the enemies in front of you weak to the same thing at this point, or fucking change the difficulty, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, I can agree with that though.
Even like challenge battle level stuff. In fact, I think this is only a symptom of a wider issue. The way Persona fans praise gameplay is weird. I just find it so backwards how Persona fans will praise the gameplay, but not
I think the way that Persona... I could be wrong, but I think the way that majority... shit. Man, there's so many Emperor terms I'm using right now. But I'm just making an opinion, so it's not facts, okay? It's just how I feel. I do feel that like most or like average Persona fan, it's that three thing I talk about, the Peptod, Lagos, Ectos, it's just all Peptos. It's just all feeling. If the gameplay feel good, it's good. They don't really understand why it make them feel good, but it feel good. If you're ever do game design, or like actually study it a little bit, or just watch some channel like Extra Credit. I don't know if you guys know Extra Credit, but it's like this channel that talk about game design. I used to do game design a little bit. Well, actually that used to be my job for a little bit, but I only do like some stupid phone game that probably nobody cares about. But anyway, there's a lot of thought putting into every single thing, not just like the boss design or anything like every single thing. Like, do you guys know that like Mario? This is always one cool thing that my teacher is talking about. Or what I learned, Mario, what is like the SNES, before the SNES one. Oh my god, I don't remember the original one. The original one. Like this like just even this alone is crazy. Right? Like he doesn't have, when they design Mario, they know that they cannot give him a long hair because they don't have, you can't like animate good looking long hair back then. Right? Like that's why they don't, in fact there's like barely any clear female character back in the day. They do exist, but really rare for that very reason. And you know, like they have like this brow color. Making clothes is really hard to back in the day. Like you look at this Contra character. It's so hard to make a detailed cloth. But then like Mario just like, oh, if I put red on top of brow, that actually can look like an overall with a 2 dot. It's so smart, you know. It's just like all little thing. Right? Like all this little thing that they were designing. And then one of the things that I think my teacher told me, I never checked this, but they said that like the people who make Mario, they learn really fast that like one of the very early mechanic they add to the game is the jump, and then that's Mario original is called Jump Man for that reason. And they said that like just jumping around is already fun. But why is it fun, right? Because like the idea of like moving around, jump, and then they added the sound effect to it to make it more like personally. There's so much to break now. Why stop is so fun. You wouldn't like to try my game. You wouldn't like to try my game. It's not my game per se. I work for someone else, right? But I think I might they might put credit with my name in at least 2 or 3 games in that company before I left. But like Persona, there's so much like when you get the one more that make you feel good, obviously, right? But it's not just because you get extra turn. Extra turn is one thing, but it could be the extra sound effect, how the enemy look when you get one more. There's so many stuff going into it. But yeah, like I think for the average people, they don't think that deep. They just like, it feel good. It feel good. I want to feel good more. So when I play a game, I wanted to feel good. So they want everything to be like Persona 5, but they couldn't explain exactly what make it feel good or what make it good. With that said, you know, what he said where like, it's not fair to, did he say something like along the line of like, there's some mechanic that people don't like. And he said like he doesn't like it that people say that like, Persona 5 should be a stone for everything, be like a blueprint for everything. I think that's, if you want to talk really deep about it, if you remove the word Persona 5 entirely, and then you look at the actual mechanic, and then you just select like which one is actually good, that might be a very damn interesting conversation to have. If he can get somebody who have a knowledge to talk to him about that in that level. But for average people, yeah, they're just gonna be like, I don't know, it feels good, man. I want to keep playing this.
Appreciate or talk about the intricacies of the mechanics. Like, you don't have to get a doctorate in this stuff or anything, but come on. You can't gush over.
No, you're right. You don't have to, but it actually take more than average people, right? Like, okay, I'm trying to think of a example that more relatable. I think he's someone who actually care about video game and looking about like why things are a certain way and more deeper than average people. But it would be like if I like pick up like a freaking like Coke can and I drink it, right? Like from all this entire fridge full of cans, right? I pick up Coke, right? And let's say I never drink it. Like, why did I pick that up, right? I don't fucking know. But then like the people that actually decide, like they just know, they're probably like researchers, like, oh, this is a color, the way they design, everything like that is more attractive. In fact, I don't know if this is true, but one of my teacher told me, I used to go to kind of like art schoolish, but anyway, one of my teacher told me that the exact color rate of Coke is copyrighted. I'm not sure if she's fucking. I don't know if she make that up, but if that's true, you can understand how powerful all those little detail it is. But my point is like for average people, they wouldn't look that deep. And I'm sure for him, that would be stuff that he used daily that he never think that deep about because he didn't care about that topic that much.
Over the gameplay and not say anything about the actual game design. And no, simply saying it's better than the older games is not actually telling me anything about what makes the gameplay
I can
pretty
agree with
good.
that though, but the truth is not most people don't. I don't want to keep repeating, but the truth is most people don't know why.
Ask a Kingdom Hearts fan why they think Kingdom Hearts 2 gameplay is so good. It's like night and day. It is such a crime that I've never seen a conversation about flow.
I'm not know if that's true. As in like, I don't know if average Kingdom Hearts fan to average Persona fan, but you know, that's his experience, and I don't think he's lying about his experience, but I don't know about the number, the actual number as a whole.
Or momentum when talking about the baton pass mechanic. Flow is a pretty huge thing with me in turn-based combat. Does even half the player base know how to inflict technical damage? I know that sounds like a stupid question. And it is, but you'd be surprised how many people I've seen complain about something that they can literally just toggle in the config menu. How do you go an entire game without looking at the config menu at least once? That's like the first thing I do before I even start playing. I can't be the only one.
Wait, what is he
right?
talking about where
You
he can toggle on the mechanic, toggle in the config? What are you talking about?
Half the player base know how to inflict technical damage? I know that sounds like a stupid question. And it is, but you'd be surprised how many people I've seen complain about something that they can
Oh, he didn't
literally just
explicitly say what. He just said just general people don't know that they can do a certain thing in the config. Okay. Okay.
toggle in the config menu. How do you go an entire game without looking at the config menu at least once? That's like the first thing I do before I even start playing. I can't be the only one, right? You probably get the point by now. The obvious issue here is not the individual takes themselves. You may genuinely hold these opinions and feel very passionately about them, and I fully respect that. Most people wouldn't even find these statements to be offensive in of themselves. The issue is when people just start saying shit. So
No, the truth is everybody's saying shit all the time. I used to. I don't know if he's the same as me right now. I don't wanna, you know, insert my experience onto him. But there was time in my life that I actually do fucking like, why everybody such a normie? Like they should just think deep about everything. But then like I just feel like nowadays I just don't even care, and I feel like in some aspect I think, sorry, not in some aspect, in majority aspect, everybody's a normie. There'll be a certain aspect that everybody's a specialist or something that they care a lot about, but in majority of thing in your life, everybody is probably a normie. So I just kind of stop caring about it. Just find the people that you can. Actually, I'm sure he probably have a group of people that he can talk deep stuff about. I'm sure he does.
repeatedly to the point where either everyone just sort of forgot what it even meant, or to the point where people are just saying it because that's just the set in stone status of these games. It almost kind of feels like people care more about maintaining some status quo than actually engaging with the ideas they're trying to push.
Man, I wonder what he's talking about. Is there actually people thinking that deep, and people just saying shit? Like people trying to say a certain thing to maintain their status?
I learned pretty quickly after making videos for a while on these games is that people really don't like when you go against the consensus.
Oh, that's 100% true, but there's also people that like it, right? You just have to find that group of people. I do feel like making your own opinion is actually pretty cool. I mean, I already told you guys that my channel that I just started, when I already get like a lot of fucking hate. Not really, to be honest, not that a lot. It's just like 3 guys or something. But just for sharing my opinion. But you know, I think that's a way, or like that's a cost that you have to pay if you wanted to exist on the internet and, you know, be yourself. In the society, you're never yourself. You know, you're never yourself 100%. You so understand me. I appreciate that. But like, yeah, you're never yourself 100%. Like the I need to read more Cao Zhang shit. But like, I actually did kind of. Well, sorry, I don't want to say that because I just kind of have it ready. I never read it yet, but I did kind of, yeah, have some book. I was gonna read it. I hope. No, I don't hope. I will read at least one just to see. But yeah, like the persona, like the ideal persona, they're kind of like the version of you where you adjust a little bit to fit into the society. Like it's just what the society see you, right? But that's not necessarily bad. Like you. Like, would you go to your workplace and totally be yourself? Like, would you just like what? Like, just gonna go to your workplace and be super chill with your boss and be like, "Hey, what's up, fuckface?" Because that's how you talk to your friends. You're not gonna do that. It's the same with this kind of shit, like on the internet. Like, if you wanted to be yourself, you're presenting yourself to the mass public, and yeah, when you go against that group, there's always gonna be a chance that they gonna like bark back. But that's the cost of being like, you know, taking off your mask, I guess, and actually exist, right? Well, luckily it's already on the internet, so they're not gonna come to your house and punch you in the face or something like that. But if they do, that's pretty dumb anyway. It's just an opinion on the fucking game. But no, I actually think it's annoying, sure, but at the same time, I have a lot of respect for people that have courage and bravery to actually be themselves, despite knowing that they might get shit on. Well, you either doing that because you choose to be brave, or the other way is you're just recklessly. I guess you're just very stupidly confident. I guess that there's two level of that, but either way, I think it's something very special, and I think it's actually cool.
You could totally agree with everyone that Persona 3 has the best story, but the moment you even try to insinuate the gameplay isn't that bad, clearly you're just nostalgia blind! What if you like Persona 4's story the most? Inconceivable! Persona 4 is supposed to be the goofy Scooby-Doo game. It can't have the best story. God forbid the Phantom Thieves are your favorite Persona cast, because that's cringe. Thankfully, this hasn't completely stagnated the discussion. There's no shortage of wild takes out there on the internet. That and other content creators have given us plenty of different perspectives to chew on. It's the whole reason I started to make videos
Fuck
too.
yeah, see, you get inspired by someone, right? I mean, I think he's cool. It's not like I agree with everything he said, but fuck, I think he's cool for saying it.
Make it a point not to make videos on anything unless I have something new to add to the conversation. To be real with you, for the longest time I didn't think I had anything substantial to say about Persona 5 that hasn't already been said. But making this video kinda has me thinking, it might finally be time to start working on that retrospective. What was I thinking? With the way things are now, there's plenty that's been left unsaid for too long. Can't promise it anytime soon.
I'll be waiting for that Kin video. Let's see how brave you are.
I'll try to have it out later this
Let's
year.
go. Oh, but I think you want to talk about
Been at this
Persona
for
5.
4.5 years. Here's to another 4.5, I guess. Thanks. Progress updates are free on my Patreon. All my bonus goodies only cost $1. And if you really hate your money, you can custom.
No, if you
pledge
really hate your money, you should give it to me, not him. I'm just kidding. Yeah! Fun video, to be honest. I like chill. Nice, it's a fun video. I don't know, I like this kind of video more kinda than a super well constructed one. I don't know how he make this video, but it nearly sounds like he's just talking. I wanted to make this kind of video, but I have a really hard time when I write a script. It just doesn't sound like I'm talking. It sounds like I'm write a script. I guess that's what my live stream format are for. I'm trying to do more live stream because I want to talk to you like I'm talking, not like I'm writing an essay.